Hello, welcome back to another video. My name is Farhan, also known as Gunner since 96, and you're watching my opposition analysis video on Slavia Prague, who happen to be our next opponents in the Europa League. That's right, we're playing them in the quarterfinals. It's going to be a very, very tricky affair. I've had a look at their Europa League games. I've had a look at where they are in the Czech League. I've tried to do as thorough of a background check on them as possible to give you guys an insight into what we're facing, because I tell you something, it is not going to be an easy affair. No, I'll tell you that now. This is a very, very decent footballing side with the ability of beating big teams like they have done against Rangers and Leicester. They've beaten two British teams already, big British teams. And they could do it all over again. You know, they love coming to the UK and knocking out the big dogs, you know. So this is going to be a tight affair. I'm going to start off by talking about their league standing. So they currently sit first in the Czech League, and they've won that for the last 4 out of 5 seasons. They're currently 14 points clear. Well, I think 8 or 9 games to go. Something to bear in mind, though, in between the two legs of the quarterfinals against us, they've got Sparta Prague, who are second in the league and are their biggest rivals. I mean, they're 14 points clear at the top. They're yet to lose a single game. How much are they going to look into that game? Who knows? I mean, the priority this season will definitely be the Europa League. They want to go as far as possible, and they want to, you know, to get into the semi-finals is anyone's game, really, the moment that happens. So their full focus will be on this fixture. Let's start by talking about their formation, the tactical game that they play. It's a tricky one to analyse, because Slavia Prague are a team that alternate quite a bit depending on who they want to play. They change from a 4-2-3-1 to a 4-5-1 to then a 4-1-4-1. They've done that throughout this season, and it's effectively worked for them because teams are unable to suss them out as to what they're gonna do. Depending on what formation they play, there's a different game plan to each of them. So the manager's done quite well to tactically set them up and get everyone disciplined to play in a different style of football depending on what formation they play in. So the last few games, obviously, you know, they haven't lost. They haven't gone into a knockout game in the Europa League yet. They haven't gone into the second leg being down. So in the round of last 32, they did very well to draw 0-0 in Prague. They then beat Leicester 2-0 at the King Power Stadium. They drew again to Rangers at home, 1-1, and then they beat Rangers 2-0 as well. So it seems as if they are at their most dangerous when they're at the opposition ground, and we'll see what type of game they give us on Thursday, because we will be at home. So is it a case where they will come over and they will do everything possible to try and win that game? And if they do, they put themselves in a little bit of a difficult position. I think with knockout football, with European knockout football, when you're playing it over 2 legs, a lot has to do with psychology as well, and the way certain teams approach certain situations. Being at home for us, I think, is a bit of an advantage in the first leg, because you go away to Prague knowing what you need to do. If Arsenal get a couple of goals at home, and if they get one goal, they've got their away goal, but then they'd need to score one and avoid us scoring another one. So psychology has a lot to play into it. But look, in terms of the squad depth and the squad ability, they have some really, really good players. You know, you only need to think about the couple that have left them to go to West Ham, Kufal and Souček, who have been phenomenal, instrumental. Souček has been, you know, brilliant. One of their best players that have ever played for Slavia Prague. I think they sold him for a big chunk of money as well. You're talking about a club that's whose overall team value is about 150 mil. He went for about 15 mil, I think, and that's a very, very big fee to pay a team like Slavia Prague. But, you know, nonetheless, they have players in their squad who are capable of, you know, striking up some problems for the opposition. When you talk about their forward strikers, Abdullah Sima, who scored 19 goals in the last 28 appearances, someone who is having a very, very good season and someone who's capable of scoring goals. He scored a really beautiful goal against Leicester, I think. The second goal he scored, really long-range effort, capable of doing that. They've got, you know, a fox in the box in Jan Kucha, another really good striker for them, a target man in the box. They've replaced Kufal with Alexandra Barr, who's been, who's come in, replaced Kufal without any problems. It's almost like a like for like. Dangerous going down the wings, and this is where they specialize in. This is where they're able to create most of their attacking opportunities down the wing, and they've got some really good wingers in the likes of Lucas Provod, who's got 10 assists already this season, and Peter Olayinka as well. Excellent strength, very, very good first touch, and also the ability to cut in and to finish as well. So, I read in an article that he's almost he's compared to the likes of Bertrand Traore at Aston Villa. So a player not to be sleeping on, and a squad not to be sleeping on. And I think their best player in that squad that makes them tick, and this is someone who I've been keeping an eye on for a while, Nikolai Stanchi in the middle, their number 7, really good, technically gifted player. His free kicks and his ability to take shots out from long distance is a remarkable ability and skill to have as a footballer. You know, you always want someone who can strike at any time and who's able to link everything up together. Reminds me of a Ward-Prowse, just an all-rounded, gifted midfielder. Makes everything really look good. And that moves me on to talking about them as a squad and what they're capable of doing on the pitch. I'm going to talk about their weaknesses and strengths now, of course. We'll start off with their weaknesses. They don't have many weaknesses. I haven't managed to, which is really weird to say because we're talking about Slavia Prague here, not the best football team in the world. But having said that, last season they did go to Barcelona and take a point at the new camp and a clean sheet as well. On their day, they strike me as a side who are dangerous and capable of beating almost anyone because of how well they play as a squad. But before we move on to before we talk about the strengths, let's talk about some of the weaknesses. They like to play a high line. And they like to overwhelm and try to almost just as Liverpool did on the weekend. They try to suffocate teams, but in doing so, they play such a high line that they expose themselves at the back. So it's quite easy to get the ball over the top and feed it in for players like Pepe, or if it's Aubameyang playing, players with real pace like Saka who like to run in behind. Aubameyang as well, if he's playing up front. It will be a treat for them if they're playing a high line for us to, get a ball out from Partey into those wide areas. But we saw against Liverpool how terrible we are at playing long balls. Liverpool were doing it all game long, and they were successfully doing it really, really well, whereas Arsenal on the other hand struggled to get balls into the right areas going forward. So it's a case of whether we're capable of doing that or not. Poor man marking on set pieces. Most sort of mid-European sides, their downfall often comes from set pieces, not being able to mark up properly, leaving players to run out, run free in the box. That's something that Arsenal will need to look into, because from corners they've conceded quite a few goals as well, from free kicks. Not really intercepting the balls quick enough, and not being able to clear it when they get the chance. And obviously, as all teams, but more so Slavia Prague, crumbling under intense pressure. If Arsenal want to go into this game and they want to stamp authority and they want to make a statement, they really do need to play. They need to play for dominance from the very first minute. They can't sit back and relax and allow Slavia Prague to dictate the tempo of the game, or be in a position to want to hit them on a counter-attack. We need to be dominant, and we need to have the bulk of possession from the very first minute. And if we're able to do that, then we're able to get the ball more in the final third. And I've seen with a team like Slavia Prague, they don't like the opposition being in dangerous areas. They almost panic and overcommit men. And that moves me on to their next weakness, overcommitting players going forward, which obviously is dangerous, because if teams are able to get the ball back and effectively hit you on the counter-attack, you've got three bodies at the back to secure the situation. But also overcommitting bodies on one side of the pitch, or when I say one side of the pitch, I mean when the opposition have the ball, and something they're so good at is trying to win the ball back as quickly as possible. They almost overcommit too many bodies to that one ball, leaving other areas of the pitch exposed. So if you've got a technically gifted player like Odegaard, who's able to wriggle himself out of situations where he's got 3 or 4 bodies around him, easily get yourself out of that situation, pop the ball on the opposite side of the pitch, where you'll have so much space to play with, and potentially the opportunity to then cause a goal scoring opportunity. So those are the weaknesses that I've managed to scout out from their last few European games. As for strengths, they have bundles of it. They really do. I really admire them, the way that they move forwards and backwards as a unit. They are very much in sync with each other, and when they lose the ball, they're very good at regrouping and reacting as quickly as possible. When they lose the ball in dangerous areas, they're very quick to run back and to put in a tackle. They're not afraid to be aggressive, and that's what I really appreciate about this side. The fact that they've got each other's backs, no matter what phase they're at on the pitch. Regarding the pitch, they're very good at using the full length of it. They like to spread out as wide as possible, and they're very good at pinging long balls forward, especially the diagonal long balls forward to find their wingers. And that's where their biggest strengths and their biggest threat is, especially going down the left wing. They love to use that left wing position. They're very good at linking up play when they're in that final third, going down the flanks, passing it to one another and getting themselves into unlocking the crossing opportunities. That's something that they've been very, very effective at. And not to mention the intense pressure that they put the opposition under when they've got the ball. And Arsenal are the worst. You know, if there's one club that they would love to play against with the style of football that they play, it's Arsenal, because we crumble when we have the ball. And the type of football that we want to play is obviously playing out from the back, passing it between one another, trying to get an opening, holding up the play, etc., etc. But when you're playing against a side like Slavia Prague, who, as soon as you've got the ball deep in your half, they'll pounce at you and they'll try and cause you to make a mistake. Playing that high line, intense pressure, lots of energy as well from the very first minute. It's going to be interesting to see how Arsenal deal with that, but we need to be very, very careful that we're not sloppy with our passing, and we're being as efficient as possible when we're passing that ball around. And, you know, not to mention how good they are on set pieces as well, overwhelming the opposition box as well with loads of bodies. I have to say I'm a bit envious of the way that this football team play, because sometimes I wish Arsenal were as aggressive as they are. They're yet to lose a game in their league. They're due to win their sixth, or I should say their fifth Czech title in the last 6 years. They've got a very good foundation here, and they've got some really good players that Premier League clubs are going to be looking at. Most notably, Sima, Olejinka, Kucha as well. So, yeah, that's basically it. That's my opposition analysis on Slavia Prague. Hopefully Arsenal do the business on Thursday. I'll be back again tomorrow for another video looking at Mikel Arteta's press conference, hopefully. Seeing what he's got to say about this fixture, how he's going to be preparing Arsenal, and what the preparations are going to be like. Who's likely to play? Is Saka and Emil Smith-Rowe ready to come back as well? That's going to be very, very interesting to hear. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and hit that bell notification to be notified every time I release a video. Like I said, I'll be back tomorrow for another one. But until then, stay home, stay safe, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.